Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a classic fable called The Price of Greed. We're going to follow the story of a humble woodcutter named Rafik, and honestly, it's a fascinating look at human nature. We'll see how one sudden temptation can just absolutely derail a life and what actually builds lasting happiness. So, let's just jump right in. Okay, let's dive into this with a question for you. What would you do if you just found a buried chest full of shining gold coins? I mean, really think about it. You're just going about your normal, everyday routine and boom, sudden, life-changing wealth. It's the ultimate fantasy, right? We all think we know exactly how we'd handle it. We tell ourselves, oh, I'd be responsible, I'd be super generous, it wouldn't change me. Well, keep that in the back of your mind as we meet our main guy. So, meet Rafik. He's a humble woodcutter from the small, quiet village of Greenfield. And Rafik's daily routine? It's exactly the same every single day. He treks deep into the forest, chops wood by hand, hauls it all the way back, and sells it at the local market just to survive. We're talking back-breaking, repetitive labor here. There are zero shortcuts in Rafik's life. He literally trades his own sweat and physical energy just to put food on the table for his family. But here's the really interesting part, the contrast of it all. Rafik earned very little money, okay? He was definitely not wealthy. And yet, despite that low income, he lived a peaceful and genuinely happy life with his family. Before any magical chests or gold coins even enter the picture, the guy was completely content. He had this baseline of peace. And that is absolutely essential to remember as we get into what happens next. Because one day, everything shifts. Rafik is deep in the forest chopping wood, surrounded by dirt and roots, when he spots something totally out of place. It's an old wooden chest buried beneath a tree. Naturally, curiosity takes over. He digs up this heavy box, pries the lid open, and no way, it is packed to the brim with shining gold coins. His eyes are just sparkling with excitement. In a split second, the reality of his hardworking life is completely turned upside down. But you know, as with all great fables, there's always a catch. Right? Waiting right there inside the chest, resting on top of all that gold, is a small note. And this is brilliant because it sets up the ultimate test of character. This gold isn't just some free lottery ticket. It's a moral crossroads. It's a test to see if extreme wealth is going to overwrite that peaceful, content nature Rafik has cultivated his whole life. And the note is incredibly specific. It literally says, take only one gold coin and leave the rest behind. If you become greedy, you will lose everything. I mean, look at the exact wording there. It doesn't say, hey, don't take too much. It gives a strict, hard rule, exactly one coin. And the consequence? It's not a slap on the wrist. It's total devastation. You will lose everything. It's a pretty terrifying warning attached to this massive blessing. So what does he do? Well, at first, Rafik actually shows massive restraint. He takes exactly one coin. Think about that for a second. He reads the note, looks at a chest full of unimaginable wealth, and consciously decides to follow the rules. He reaches in, grabs a single coin, closes the lid, and literally walks away. The sheer willpower that must have taken. In that initial moment, his character holds incredibly strong against an overwhelming wave of temptation. And he uses that coin exactly how a responsible provider should. He goes straight to the market, sells it, and uses the cash to buy food, clothes, and other absolute necessities for his family. He doesn't blow it on something flashy or frivolous. He uses this sudden windfall to just ease the daily burden on his household. At this point in the story, Rafik is winning. He passed the test. But wow, human psychology is a tricky thing. The very next day, greed enters his heart. And the shift is rapid. Having tasted how easy life was with just one gold coin, his mind just couldn't let go of that chest sitting out there in the woods. That peace and happiness he felt on day one, it starts to rot. It gets completely replaced by this consuming obsession with the gold he left behind. We actually get to see Rafik's internal rationalization here. He starts thinking to himself, why should I take just one coin? If I take the entire chest, I'll become the richest man in the village. Boom. That is the exact moment he abandons his contentment. Notice how his focus completely shifts. It goes from providing necessities for his family to pure ego and status. He wants to be the richest man in the village. The rule in the note? Totally out the window. Greed has rewired his brain overnight. Driven by this new obsession, Rafik doesn't just casually stroll back to the woods. He rushes. He is frantically running through the forest to carry away the whole chest. Just imagine the desperate energy fueling him. This is not the patient, methodical woodcutter we met a few minutes ago. He's a man possessed, totally intent on claiming all that wealth for himself, completely ignoring the explicit warning he read just 24 hours ago. But the moment his hands touch that chest to take it all, the forest retaliates. And it happens fast. Step 1, this incredibly powerful wind sweeps through the trees. Step 2, the actual ground beneath his feet starts to tremble. 3, within seconds, the chest and every single gold coin vanish into thin air. And finally, and honestly, this is the most devastating detail, even his axe vanishes. Heartbroken, Rafik returns home empty-handed. I mean, the immediate consequence of his greed is staggering. By reaching for wealth he wasn't entitled to, he triggered that promise on the note, you will lose everything. He didn't just lose the magical gold. Because his axe vanished, he lost his livelihood. He is now materially way worse off than before he ever found the chest. He traded his actual stability for a fantasy and ended up with absolutely nothing. But as awful as it is, this rock-bottom moment gives him a pretty profound epiphany. That very day, walking home with no gold and no axe, Rafik realizes true happiness comes from honesty, hard work, and being satisfied with what you have. He remembers how genuinely happy he was just days prior, when he had practically no money but had peace of mind. He realizes the shortcut was an illusion, and real contentment is something you have to choose every single day. And it's really cool to see how this translates into action. Because redemption doesn't happen overnight. Day 1, he's home empty-handed, but a lot wiser. Fast forward months later, and we see him working diligently, earning an honest living again, through his own sweat, not some magical shortcut. And years later, he slowly regains the respect of everyone in the village. Rebuilding a life takes real, consistent effort. Which brings us to the core moral of the explainer. Greed can make you lose even what you already have. Unbridled desire isn't just about not getting more. It's a toxic force that actively destroys the foundation you're standing on. I mean, Rafik's greed literally vanished his axe. When we stop valuing what we have and obsess over what we don't, we put our peace, our relationships, and our stability in massive jeopardy. Ultimately, the fable leaves us with a pretty incredible definition of actual wealth. The greatest treasures of all aren't shining gold coins buried under a tree. They're honesty, hard work, and contentment. Those are internal. They can't blow away in a windstorm, and they don't disappear in an earthquake. Once Rafik cultivated those 3 things, he became a truly wealthy man in the ways that actually matter. So that wraps up our explainer today, but I want to leave you with one final provocative question. In your own pursuit of more, are you risking the treasures you already possess? Look, we all have our own golden chests tempting us, right? Maybe it's chasing a title at work but sacrificing time with your kids, or trading your peace of mind for some material status. Just take a page out of Rafik's book. Make sure you aren't trading the axe that built your life for a chest of gold that might just blow away in the wind. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.